Fear. A lot of people have it. You can't really pinpoint what fear is, but if it were to be put into my words, I guess I would say something that strikes an emotion that I don't like inside of me. Like if I'm angry, it's usually fear in the background, or if I'm sad, I'm scared for something. So I feel like fear is emotion that you can't enjoy.
Fear is the unknown, or it's something that you're not quite sure about, that it gives you like a bad feeling. It's something hard that I don't think most people can explain.
Fear is something that keeps you from living your life to the fullest or doing things you want to do. It holds you back from doing something, and it could affect your life greatly.
It's a negative emotion caused by impending danger, evil, etc., whether the danger is real or not.
Our body has evolved to respond to any kind of threat in our environment, and we pick up that threat either through seeing something or feeling something, with our skin, hearing something, and immediately, before we're even really aware of it, our body goes into that process of preparing for either battle or for running away. So we release a whole cocktail of chemicals like dopamine and endorphins and adrenaline. Our heart starts beating really fast, we start to sweat, and all of these things kind of prepare us for battle or to run, very quickly.
Fear is one of the basic emotions that we feel. We human beings, animals, when we perceive a threat in the environment.
Most common fears would definitely have to be fear of the dark. Fear of snakes, spiders. Alligators under the bed, which seems uncommon, but a lot of people do have that fear. Fear of robbery or theft, and death. Would have to be some of the top fears in there. Heights would also have to be one.
Well, looking through the data, everybody does fight a lot of the common kind of creatures, like, I'm afraid of, zombies or ghosts or clowns. Clowns, it comes up a lot, and it always fascinates me that people are still afraid of clowns, but a lot of people definitely are. Tight spaces, loud noises, anything that triggers that fight or flight response. Also, interesting findings, people are really afraid of characters that don't look quite right or quite human, rather. So like creepy robots and creepy children, actually, is an often cited fear. So yeah, those are just a few.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
My biggest fear would have to be the fear of the unknown, because it scares me not knowing what's going to happen, or like even just if I was stuck in a dark room by myself and not knowing what's there around me, it would really scare me.
Probably the unknown, something that I'm not sure about. I'm scared aliens, probably, if you want to pin it down to one thing, I am freaked out by aliens.
I'm afraid of my lung collapsing again. My lung has collapsed 4 times in a 1.5 year period, and I've had surgery on it a couple times, and it's been fine for over a year now, but a fear is still very present.
I tend to be afraid of deep water and heights, so I tend not to go on boats or on airplanes too often.
I don't know, end up being a loner, or also, I was going to say zombies.
Drowning in water.
That's tough. I might have to say my biggest fear is falling from a very great height.
My biggest fear was the fear of heights.
Okay.
Sudden loud noises that startle me. That's about the only thing I can think of.
My biggest fear is to actually, I guess, be forgotten, as far as like die and then not have achieved anything to, to pass on.
Fear is just being very afraid for like my children. Something would happen to my kids. Okay. I think that would be my fear.
Not being successful at something I love to do.
Not fulfilling my dreams, not fulfilling my goals, and not having the people around me fulfill their goals and dreams as well.
I have to say it's a battle. It's maybe loneliness.
Probably being alone.
My fear is regretting not doing something.
I definitely have a fear of abandonment.
Sometimes it's an experience, right? Like post-traumatic stress disorder, the root of it is that you had an experience, a traumatic experience, a very horrifying experience. Sometimes we don't know what the root of the anxiety is. Sometimes, people just maybe they learn from their parents to be anxious.
This fear started from childhood. I don't know, I just dabble in a lot of different things, and I try to I'm trying, I guess, to find my niche. So my fear is that I won't find my niche, and I'll settle for something that'll just make me money.
I think it's really just kind of a natural thing in the way I was raised.
I would imagine like most fears that people have, it's like a childhood thing. So maybe I got lost in a department store, or maybe my parents left me somewhere for a really long time, but that seems to be my biggest fear.
As a child, so one of my family members died and I didn't know much of them. And just that thought of how many people might have died, but then it's not anything to be remembered by, even about the next generation or something like that.
Well, in social fears, people usually are irrationally, again, afraid that people will find them to be boring, that people will see that they are anxious.
I don't like doing things that I feel like would be embarrassing, because I feel like people are gonna think I'm, weird or something. They won't like me, they won't talk to me, stuff like that.
I could be in a room full of people and I could feel all alone. And another reason would be relationships, girlfriend, family. Just feeling like you have no one. When you're stuck all by yourself, being lonely, I'm very scared, stuff like that.
I think that would be terrible to end up alone in your life, have no one to enjoy things with.
I think fear does affect my life a lot. I mean, as I explained with the lung collapsing thing, it's stopped me from doing things that I'd like to do. And it can definitely hold you back, or hold your potential back if you're too afraid to go out and experience something.
Even just something simple like social anxiety, fear of speaking in front of large groups of people. It'll affect you at school, at your job. You won't be confident, stuff like that. Then there's the more extreme ones, the irrational fears that stop you from doing everyday things that you need to accomplish.
I think that there are many ways that people can overcome fears. I know that in the kind of psychological research, you have different ideas. I think, cognitive behavioral therapy can help, where you talk with someone about what you're afraid of and try to find any kind of, reasons that that fear may have developed and work through them by talking. There is the idea of exposure therapy, which I think is still kind of controversial, and some people say it can work, and others say that it actually just is more traumatic. And exposure therapy basically is, exposing yourself to what you're afraid of.
Fear can be gotten rid of by going out and facing it. If you have a fear of heights, you can go to the top of a building and stand there, or walk across a bridge. If you have a fear of spiders, you can go to a zoo and ask to hold a spider. It's just something you have to decide for yourself and realize that there's really nothing to be afraid of.
I think fear is something that every person has, and there's no way of getting rid of it.
If there wasn't fear, we wouldn't probably be here. People would not be as cautious as they are.
I think that we'll always have something to be afraid of, and as long as the future is uncertain, we'll always find something to fear.